I figure we should start by talking a bit about the layout of this map and things like callouts. Even though there aren't any official ones, I'm just going to improvise weapons and utility that spawn on the map and just kind of my general thoughts on like how I think this is going to play. First, I'll say that from a visual perspective, like this is gorgeous. This is the kind of map that as a spectator, I would want to see on a main stage in a Halo tournament because I feel like it would help market the game. It's big though. It's a big boy. This is a huge map, which is not always bad competitively. But I do want to talk a bit about how I think that the size of this map could hurt it competitively and how some areas on this map I think are just not good map design from a competitive perspective. That said, I think there are some good decisions here in terms of layout. Like you've got your traditional top car, mid, and pink type setup. You could say gold and green, I guess, in this case, and some open and interesting angles and sight lines here. I think you could argue in some cases maybe too open. I do like the creative liberty that they took by making it reverse symmetrical, like flipped symmetrical, right? Like one flag is here, the other one is diagonal on the opposite side of the map, which you can see in the opening strat that I find pretty interesting. You spawn facing this direction like this versus just about any other flag map in Halo. You would spawn like this and face the enemy team across the map on the other side with like perfect symmetry, right? And imagine having a gunfight like this with the bandits would be brutal with this kind of range. Normally on a map like Pit, you're kind of gifted a sniper to one side, which at first glance, it appears like one team is kind of gifted this sniper, but because of the way the layout is set up, you're kind of like equidistant, I guess, if that's the word. Like you have an equal distance almost from your sniper to also contesting the opposing sniper, right? So you got an interesting dynamic off the rip where like you could fight for the other sniper just about as effectively as you can get to your own. And when you have your own sniper, not only do you have to be hyper aware of the opposing fight across the map, which could be interesting, but aware of the push coming in from the spawners at the same time. So I kind of like the dynamic, you know, like it's interesting. Either way, what do we have to work with here? We've got our base. This is CTF, so we can say ours and theirs for the opposite side of the map. I'd also say this could be green side and this could be red or gold, I guess. But in our base here, we've got two bandits, one bandit here, one here. This is just ammo because we spawn with the bandit. The only weapons I'd justify switching this with would be BR, which spawns here, or Commando, which spawns here. So we got all the kind of primary longer range utility. Maybe you could have an extra Commando and an extra BR, but, you know, not super necessary, I guess. This area I'd call back base. It's the back of the base. Makes sense. I'd maybe call this long haul right here, like ours and theirs long haul, potentially. Once again, I'm just improvising with this. I assume the pros, if it becomes competitive, the pros will make up their own callouts, I guess. Threat Seeker is the main equipment that spawns on this map. You get 2 per pickup. Curious to know what you think of this. Threat Seeker is kind of a superpower if used wisely, like especially combined with the sniper. Basically an auto kill around a wall. So I don't know. You got the sniper that spawns right beside it. This area, I feel like you can call like a main ramp or a mohawk. This mohawk-shaped object, kind of like in other Halo maps would be a mohawk. You can use the weapons for callouts, like the sniper or say on the Threat Seeker as an easy callout. This area in here, I would call a hut. You know, like our snipe hut just makes sense to me. You could say hut door for the door, right? Or top snipe hut here. And we got a bridge. So I would just say our bridge, right? Our snipe bridge, our bridge. Plasminade spawn here. Good to know, especially on a map that has weapons like the sniper. This is a good combat evolve type setup, right? Note that with plasmas, you can launch weapons not only to yourself, but it's good to launch new snipers off the map. There's a whole chasm below to launch a sniper off the map. So that'll definitely become part of the meta, is using the plasmas, you know, not just for kills and things like insta-splodes, but to launch weapons off the map. We've got a sidekick that spawns here. Good for close quarters, kind of makes sense for mid-map here, and a disruptor that spawns here as well. This area, I feel like I would call treehouse, personally, like their tree or green tree, and you could say bottom tree, top tree. Forgot about the shocks here. We got shocks out in the center off this like super open, like stone diving board kind of section here. Hard to justify flying out and risking your life just to get these shocks, right? Like shocks have utility still. They're not anywhere near as powerful as they once were. Let me know in the comments what you think of making this a grapple. Would this be a good idea? Like I assume the competitive inside team tested this map and decided, you know, grapple or repulse wouldn't work. Like repulse would be cheesy. You'd knock somebody off in like every corner of the map. Grapple would be fun though, right? But would it be too powerful? Like I could see situations where somebody would just drop off the map and just bait their life like under here, you know, and just especially considering I think the kill barrier is like way down, right? Until you actually die. So you can kind of cheese the situation. But as far as like navigating the map, it would be fun. as hell. So, like, I don't know if there's a way. What if you had one grapple, just one use of it? Would it somehow be balanced and better than flying out here for shocks? This area here I would call an underpass, right? Underpass that connects to a tunnel, their tunnel, our tunnel. In terms of map design, this is my least favorite section of the map. This is just, in my opinion, competitively speaking, this is poor map design. This whole tunnel right here. Because what it does is takes you out of the field of play for like 30 seconds. Like if you spawn, you want to go down here this way. Good luck. Like if nobody's here, you get no gunfights. For 30 seconds, it's like a 4v3 on the map. And it kind of takes away from the flow of the map. Normally a tunnel like this would have a connecting route to get to a new section like mid-map, like here. But obviously you can't access this as a chute that you can use to drop down below, which I guess is kind of neat if we're flanking the base, but you can't get up there. If we had one grapple, maybe it would create, I guess, an interesting dynamic in getting up there. That would, you know, I don't even know if that would benefit the map design anyway, though, because this is still poor map design, in my opinion. There's no cover. There's nothing in here. There's no weapons, right? The only justification for being here is a flank, a long-ass flank, which just doesn't seem right to me. We've got, you know, obviously our flag. You have like things like our flag ramp. This would work as flag ramp. We can call this a brick, kind of like on Aquarius. I'd say a brick or block, potentially. And that's basically it. The way I see this map, and something I've talked about a bit, I think, with this whole tunnel section, is it just feels like there's an unusually wide gap in importance between the high priority areas of the map and the low priority ones. And what I mean is, like, every Halo map has high priority areas. If you're playing within this upper space, this is all high priority. This is where the weapons spawn. This is the high ground. There's good escape options, etc. Like, this is all great. But there's also low priority areas of a map that are still useful occasionally for flanks and sneaky plays. Like, let's say bottom mid on midship. You don't want to be there often, but it's still useful in the right situation. The low priority areas on this map feel borderline useless. Like, what kind of gunfight would you ever have for more than 5 seconds here without dying? Being under here in this underpass, you're out of the field of play. You've got no benefit. There's no utility down here. The only utility is, like, unless you want these shock nades. But if we were to play within strictly the higher priority areas, the map's actually not bad, right? So that's kind of my weird, confusing feelings about the size of it right now. This back base area is large too. I don't know how I feel about this just yet because I haven't played it enough to really suss out the spawns. If you take a map like Catalyst and Argyle, Catalyst had a spawn issue where the spawn area was so small that it was very easy to capitalize on spawns and, like, control spawns. Argyle had that issue too, but to combat it, what they did is they spawned players mid-map, instead blocking the flag run or overextending, which was also a problem. Having all of this extra space might be good for the spawns, right? It could make spawns harder to control, but it could also make it harder for the spawners to just immediately stop the run. So it might be good for balance. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on the layout. Honestly, though, I think if it was possible to maybe cut that underpass tunnel section out of the map entirely so people can't play there, this map is pretty solid, in my opinion. I think with some time spent learning how to play on this map, it has competitive potential. And I know that some pros, Halo players, you're already dropping hot takes. You already hate the map. I get it. Just hear me out, though. Like, I feel like the core layout of this map feels a lot more Halo to me than Catalyst or Argyle ever did. Like, those maps, they're large, but there's no form of, like, center map control. They're built in lanes, right? Where the action is funneled into the left and right side of the map. The way this map is designed, center map is a power position, so the angles complement each other, and they're built around team play a little better. And even though the map is large, this brings the action to you faster. And sure, Catalyst and Argyle aren't exactly high-tier maps for comparison. They're just other similar flag maps. But what I like about the layout here is how it uniquely prioritizes long-range gunfights in a way that no other map, not Catalyst, Argyle, or any competitive Infinite map does. If you want to master this map, you have to master long-range gunfights. And I think now with the Bandit Evo, being accurate at long range is more of a skill than it's ever been. So is that a bad thing, that we have to master long-range like gunfights and also master control of sandbox weapons that excel in long-range? Also, your ability to kind of effectively take angles and also prioritize the right fights at different ranges is going to come down to the skill expression on this map. And I think that's unique. We don't have that in competitive Halo. So I kind of like this dynamic. The main drawback with a map this size, though, is navigating it, is getting around it quickly and efficiently, is picking up a flag and running a flag all the way to the other side and then capping it, right? So I think the real kicker, like the test of whether or not this map has competitive potential, comes down to how much the speed of gameplay changes when you optimize movement on this map. And honestly, I think that once pros and dedicated players get the movement down on this map, your mind will completely change on how this map plays. Just going to call it. You might hate it still. The map might never make it to rotation. I don't know. It's fun to move on this map. So fun that I've already made a separate video dedicated to it. So if you don't like Forbidden, you're not convinced, stay tuned. I've got a starting strat breakdown coming up very soon. I've already made it. I just didn't fit. There's too much info to fit in this one video. We're looking at high-level starting strats optimized. I'm not just breaking down the movement, but things like decision-making, positioning, angles, nade placement, etc. If you're looking to level up your play, this is important. And maybe that'll change your mind. Maybe it won't. Maybe the map sucks. Maybe it's unsavable. And if that's the case, let me know in the comments. What do you think of Forbidden? And what would be a good Halo map? This is actually a very interesting discussion going back into the history of Halo maps and like what makes a map a good map versus a bad map. Like, why is it that Sanctuary, Midship, Guardian are so loved by classic fans? Why is it that Halo 5 fans love Plaza, right? Like, there's so much nuance to this. So what makes a good map in Halo? Any Halo map experts out there, let me know. Also, what map would you most like to see from another Halo game dev made in Halo Infinite? Let me know as well. In the meantime, if you're looking to up your expertise in Halo Infinite Season 5, as always, I've got some good related videos right beside me to check out. So start there. This is the way.